What's up? And Kevin, I'm bringing you right on stage because What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Kevin and Zach Reacts. The Baltimore Orioles signed Charlie Morton to a 1-year, $15 million contract, the 41-year-old. Yes, the 41-year-old. Once again, the 41-year-old is heading to Baltimore for $15 million. Kevin, you take it away. You take it away.
Yeah, this was a little behind the scenes. It was very funny to kind of see Zach's evolution as more and more details came out about this move. As it started off, because Rocco usually beats me to it by like 30 seconds in our group. Yeah. So I beat Rocco to it, and Zach was like, okay. And then I put the 15 million in maybe 2 minutes after, and Zach was like, okay. Like just kept on going. Here's my initial reaction to it, if we're being honest. One, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I just think the Orioles were so traumatized by losing pitchers last season that they're trying to stack on as many people, as many pitchers as they can, and have as many options as they can. Now, this is what I'll say about it from a roster construction type of deal. If this is the veteran move, it's terrible. If it is a veteran move, you can live with it until they make their big one. But this cannot be it. Much like we talked about with Sagano, this cannot be it for the pitching staff.
Kevin, I'm glad you took it the words right out of my mouth, because this is what my rant's going to be. So buckle up. We've come on here and talked about every single big signing for the Orioles so far this offseason. And every single time, Kevin, we have said the exact same things. This could be decent, but it can't be the move. Well, Kevin, I'm tired of waiting for the move, and I'm not sure the move is coming. Because, yes, it's January 3rd. We don't play games for another month and a half, 2 months. But, Kevin, we are getting to the point where the well is drying up on talent available out there. The more you wait, the higher it's going up. This is $15 million for 1 year of 41-year-old Charlie Morton. And it's not like, oh, well, Charlie Morton, he had a 3.64 ERA in 2023. That's not bad. 4.19 last year, but it's not like the velocity is obviously way down. There's not a lot metric-wise that I'm sitting here saying this is great. If we got Charlie Morton in 2016, we're feeling better, but this is 2024. Let me put it this way. As a veteran guy, we talked about the Kyle Gibsons, the Max Scherzers, go get a veteran guy to be in this clubhouse. Beautiful. Got a veteran. But I'm tired of waiting for the move, Kevin. I'm tired of these, this is just a little bit, because it's starting to look like there are not many options for the move, because it looks like the move now has to be Luis Castillo or Dylan Cease, or this offseason's looking like a train wreck. You lose Corbin Burns, the last thing, are we even a week removed from losing Corbin? Not even.
No, Friday. It was literally a week ago, Friday. I remember because I was doing the same work I was doing last Friday before we hopped on, and the Orioles made the move. Now, luckily, it's a lot earlier in the night, so we're not coming on here at 1:30 in the morning like last time.
Yeah.
But it's a week ago. Corbin was a week ago.
A week ago, and, we talked about, hey, they need to have a replacement. Charlie Morton wasn't on my radar at all. I'm going to be honest, if they were going to go with a veteran, it was going to be like a Max Scherzer type. Yes, it's a veteran. It's a veteran. It's a veteran that can add that veteran knowledge to the pitching staff. I love it as a veteran move. I don't know if I love it as a veteran move for $15 million, Kevin. That's where it gets me. Is if that's the price for him, that's the price for him. But when we were talking about go get that veteran, I was thinking more in that $7 to $8 million range, not 15 that we're getting it. When I say open up the checkbooks, I didn't think we're giving $15 million to Charlie Morton for a year.
Yeah, and I think it's 15 to Charlie Morton, 13 to Sagano. So 28 million for the two of them. Would
Both
you have
are 35.
consolidate that and have gone 28 million, maybe over 3 or over 4
To
for
give who?
somebody?
Oh, giving 20 million. I mean, if 28 million would have gotten you Eovaldi. Now, Sagano, I mean, that's what he got. Now, I think he would have needed more to come to Baltimore out of Texas. Man.
But why don't we let's as it stands right now, let's project out the Orioles rotation because they have a lot of guys that could be in the conversation, especially as you go further down the pitching staff. Obviously, it's Grayson and Eflin 1-2. We're not going to factor in Bradish, obviously, because he's not going to be ready. So Grayson and Eflin are your 1-2.
Yeah, and then you got Sagano. You're going to make him at least in your top 4. Kramer, and then it looks like Morton. I mean, you then have guys like Cade Povich. Is this taking starts away from a Cade Povich type guy? Is this, taking starts? I guess you have Trevor Rogers.
Well, that's the thing too. I think it's going to be the same conversation we had last season. It's just going to be a different talent level because Corbin's not going to be there. Where they will be 7 or 8 deep to start the season, but instead of having like 2 or 3, like number 1 to number 3 guys
going into spring training before we found out about Bradish, you felt like the Orioles had 2, possibly 3 number 1s if Grayson took that jump. Now you're sitting there and you're going, we might have a single one if Grayson takes that jump.
Well, I think you're exactly right. It's the, Grayson, Burns, and Bradish. It's like, you have 3 number 1s, at least, maybe 1 high end 2 in that conversation. Now it feels like the new conversation will be, they're still 7 or 8 deep, but they have like 5 number 4 number 5s or 4 number 4 number 5s. And then what does this mean for Cade Povich and Trevor Rogers? Because I think a lot of people were sold on the idea of, okay, Povich is going to be asked to have a much larger role in the rotation this year, or the Orioles really believe in Trevor Rogers. They gave up 2 very talented players for him. So he's in the plans, right? But now it feels like you paid the money to Sagano. You mentioned it. Yeah, you have to have him in your rotation. Morton, you paid $15 million to. Is he going to be a bullpen guy for them? I mean, is that what they envision with him? I mean, it's all this stuff. And this is a good point here. You brought it up.
Yeah, 2 rings. He is one of those guys pitched 16 pitches on a broken leg. When we talk about veterans and in the clubhouse, this is an addition. Like that's the thing. This isn't one of those signings where you're like, this does nothing. He's a good veteran pitcher. I understand why they wanted Charlie Morton. I just don't, the 15 million, it feels like, okay, this can't be the signing. Like this can't be the move. Like once again, Kevin, if the Orioles had already had their move, if the Orioles had brought back Corbin and then you added a Charlie Morton as well, you're going, nice. Let's get a little more veteran leadership in that room, really. And you have a completely different outlook on this. But it's hard when we keep on having these signings and we have to say this can't be the move. If they already had the move, these signings would look different. But they haven't made that move that you felt like put them back at least even on that level of last year in the rotation. So when you're missing that move right now, you're looking at this and it seems like they're assembling a group of number 4 and 5s and trying to make a rotation out of it.
Yeah, well, I will say that in my opinion, this takes them out of the running for every other veteran pitcher there is. I don't.
If they sign another veteran pitcher
like Verlander, Scherzer, Pivetta, they're out. At least they should be. Now they made their choice. They had those options. My thing is that I would probably have just signed one of Sagano or Morton, as my light just falls on me right here. But I would have probably just signed one, and then I feel. Look, I get the Orioles lost a lot of pitchers last season. It was rough. It felt like they lost somebody new every single week. But between everybody we talked about, it feels like 1 or 2 guys are going to either have to start the season in AAA or be left out, which I think is, if you trust Charlie Morton, which clearly the Orioles do, they gave him a lot of money, then okay. But I just think that if you had signed one and then said, because we're talking in hindsight here, if they don't make the move, like the move, it should have been they made one of the two between Sagano and Morton and traded for an ace.
Yeah.
But I just think the worry for a lot of people now was this the move? Because let's just say Cease is popular at Castillo. Let's just throw one of those two guys into the rotation.
Yeah.
Cease, Burns. I'm in denial still.
Way
Cease,
too soon, Kevin.
I'm in. Let me grieve. Let me grieve. Denial about it. Okay.
Read the room, Kevin.
We got Cease, Eflin, Rodriguez, Sagano, Kramer, Morton, Kramer, Sagano, Morton.
Yeah.
I mean, that pushes. You're already getting dicey with the whole Povich-Rogers situation if you believe in either of those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get the big guy now, you're going to either push a guy you just signed for double-digit millions out of the rotation, or you're pushing Dean out of the rotation, which is probably not an option. So it's probably you're pushing one of those two guys out or making one of them a bullpen arm. So there are multiple ways that this could go, but it is getting a little tight on room, despite the fact that the Orioles have gone out there and kind of showed their cards of what they maybe thought the best path was with everything that was laid in front of them. Now, of course, they tried to sign guys. I'm not saying they didn't go out there and make no effort whatsoever, but I just think the disappointing thing, excuse me, for a lot of fans is the fact that, the Red Sox have gotten a lot better this offseason. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees, after losing Juan Soto, pivoted pretty hard and have tried to add talent to offset that loss. The Rays and Blue Jays really haven't done much of anything, but even the Blue Jays,
Blue Jays are in on everyone.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna get nobody, but they are gonna.
They're in on everybody. But I just think that do they have a move in mind? And actually, James brings this up. Are they going to try to package one of these other pitchers to get an ace to free up a spot? Like, I'm not sure Dean is the name, but like a Povich, for example.
Yeah.
Do they plan on trading a Povich in a package for somebody that we don't know about? I think that's an option. Is it likely? I wouldn't classify it as likely, but you got to put every possibility on the table at this point.
Yeah. And listen, it's going to be one of those situations where if you take everything out of everything else that has happened this offseason, the addition of Charlie Morton, if you would have told me saying, hey, you don't know any other moves we made, but they got Charlie Morton, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. That's a great veteran addition to this young team. The team that we've talked about multiple times needs veteran presence, needs more veterans on it to really help the younger guys. I would have been all for this. I would have been like, hell yeah, great addition to the squad. They tell me it's $15 million. I would have been like, okay, that's a little pricey, but okay, that's pricey. It's what you got to do to get a pitcher these days. And then you're like, oh, by the way, they did lose Burns. And I'm like, okay, do we get another pitcher? And they're like, yes, we did. I'm like, oh, perfect. Then we're good. Like, we're good. And they're like, Sagano from the KBO. I would have been like, who's that? It's like, well, that's the other pitcher they got. Then we were like, okay, well, what offensively they had to like get some guys. It's like, yeah, they signed the outfielders. Like, okay, one of the big guys, like Teoscar Hernandez, did you go get one of those? Like, no, Tyler O'Neill. And then they also got Gary Sanchez. Then I'm sitting there going, where was the big move? That move we've been looking for, Kevin. If you just take it singly as, hey, this is a move, this is a productive move for the Orioles. But they haven't had the move where you can afford to have hey, this is a productive veteran that the Orioles can add. They don't have the luxury of having that right now. They need a guy that they can rely on to be a 1 or 2 for them. And it's hard to sit back here unless they make that trade. Are they bringing back Jack Flaherty? Do you feel good if they bring back Jack Flaherty as the move? And now, I don't know if that rotation makes me feel even better.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't have a problem in like the actual thought process of the Orioles wanting to take a flyer on a guy who dominated the MPB and did all that great stuff. That's a fine move just by itself. Or taking a flyer on a vet and Charlie Morton, who is, we've talked about and has been brought up, has championship experience. Like all those moves separate from each other, they're fine. But I think that with the rotation, let's just assume that they don't make that big move. It's going to be a lot of reliance on Grayson to stay healthy. That's the first thing. It's going to be a huge gamble on Grayson's health. That will have large rewards or it will backfire either way because of what we've seen and how Grayson's been so dominant when he's been on the mound, but he just can't put it together seemingly health-wise. And that's kind of the question with him. The other thing that these moves are kind of telling me is they're not fully sold on just handing these rotation spots out to these younger guys, which I don't blame them. I mean, I think that we talked about how the Orioles were too young last season and they needed some more vets in there, both on and off the field, and they've addressed that. But again, you can't sit here and tell me that the Orioles are a better team right now than they were last season. And obviously that comes with the territory of losing an ace like Corbin. And obviously there was news maybe like an hour or two ago that the Santander deal is not close. Seems like and that might kind of drag on a little bit, which, by the way, the spring training conversation for position players doesn't mean as much compared to pitchers. Like, pitchers need a bit more time to get into a groove. Now, so do hitters.
Yeah. And well, Santander's always been a guy who he could sign 2 weeks ago. He could sign the day before opening day. He is simply going to struggle the first month and a half of the season because he's a warm weather hitter. Cowser talked about it. Every single year, Tony takes a month to warm up, and then once the air's a little warmer, he's fine. So yeah, exactly.
He should go to Corbin, Arizona. He and Corbin can ball out in the warm weather together, have a little Orioles reunion down in Arizona. But no, I mean, it's just difficult because, Zach, we came into this offseason with so many expectations, and we talked about this, how the Orioles set that expectation by getting Corbin last year and kind of saying, okay, hey, we can make these types of moves too. And obviously you can only control so much with Corbin. Like, I know we've talked about that. You can offer him $500 million, but, he wanted to go home. And the Orioles didn't offer him $500 million. No team offered him that. So you look at this rotation right now, and we haven't – here's the other thing, Zach.
Yeah.
We have not even touched the bullpen here. Like, they still need one or two bullpen arms. And does that come by moving a guy? Is Suarez good? I mean, at this point, Suarez is nowhere near the rotation. I mean, he's a guy that you probably can throw in there. Felix obviously coming back is huge, but
is it forced that they have to go get a guy like Tanner Scott? I mean, talk about a guy that we just has had, I feel like, no. Yeah, because do they focus on? I've seen people online talk about it. Do you go, okay, we're just going to go get, bolster the bullpen and make this kind of what the Yankees did in, gosh, was that 2016, 2017 with Betances, Chapman, and Britton, where it was if you got to the seventh inning and they were winning, it was over.
What a throwback. Betances, man, what a throwback.
Yeah, it was just – but that was what it was. It was the Yankees' strategy was – if we're winning in the seventh, you lost the game.
Well, that was Brock O'Day Britton for the Orioles all those years ago. Like, that's what that was.
So that's where I think would be the only – if you're not going to get a quality starter, you got to make it so that bullpen is absolutely untouchable. Because it can't be one or the – it can't be, okay, we're just going to hope. That's my biggest fear, Kevin, is that – I'm going to say it. I'm declaring this. The unfortunate news about this offseason for the Orioles is that the word of the offseason is hope. We hope Felix Bautista can come back and do what he did before injury. We hope Tyler Wells can come back and do what he did before injury. We hope Kyle Bradish can come back and do what he did before injury. We hope Grayson Rodriguez can take that next step. We hope Jackson Holliday can take the next step. We hope Adley Rutschman makes up for that second half of last year. There's a lot of hoping, and that's not a good, solid plan when you're trying to win a World Series. Because I'm telling you right now, of the 10 hopes that we have, 5 of them ain't happening. That's just how sports work. Not everyone's taking that step. Not everyone's going to recover and be that star immediately. It's going to take moments for Bautista to get back to what he was. It's going to take a little bit for Bradish, for Wells to get back to what they were if they return. So it's just the unfortunate part of this offseason is it feels like there's just a whole lot of hoping that things work out. There hasn't been the, hey, we locked down Corbin because he's our top guy. Hey, we got this big hitter because we want to improve here. It's, well, we're hoping these things happen. We hope these guys can, take that step. We're hoping that these guys are going to, take leaps and get back to the 101 wins of 2023. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part is it just feels like there's a lot of Band-Aids. Does Charlie Morton I saw someone earlier in the comments saying maybe he's just a move to make it to the deadline and you hope Bradish is back. Well, it's hard to hope for that. A guy coming back from Tommy John is just going to be back. And as Orland, if your replacement for, hey, Bradish and Burns we're getting a Charlie Morton, I don't think that works. I just don't, hopefully he proves me wrong. Hell, I hope Charlie Morton wins the Cy Young. I do. Obviously, I'm going to root for him as I said, Kevin, we both said, we think this is a good veteran signing if they had the move. If they already had their big move, if they had re-signed Corbin or something, this is a great veteran signing. But it's hard for me to sit here and say it's a great veteran signing, but it can't be the only one where it feels like we've been waiting for that move still. If they get that move, this offseason changes drastically. If they go get a Cease, they go get a Castillo, they go get a young pitcher with controllable pitcher, this offseason looks completely different. Then you're like, okay, the Orioles are back in contention. The Orioles are feeling good again. But, in a vacuum, I love the Charlie Morton deal. I don't love it because of the lack of moves that have happened around it. This cannot, for the millionth time on this stream, this cannot be the move.
Zach, I don't know if you know this, but I do host Locked On Ravens. I do cover the Ravens. I know. Yeah, I know. So most people don't know. It's a little bit of a shock. But this reminds me of something the Ravens did a couple of years ago when they signed Nelson Aguilar and Odell Beckham, where Nelson Aguilar signed first. Let's talk about Sagana was the Nelson Aguilar move, where we all were saying, well, man, that's a fine move if it's by itself, it's okay, sure, but something has to come after that. And then everybody was talking about with the Ravens, they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins, or are they going to go and trade for one of these stud star widers? I forget who else was on. I think maybe Debo's in that conversation, other people. And then they go out there, and the big move for them was they signed Odell Beckham, funny enough, to a deal worth $15 million. Now it could go up to 18, but still $15 million. And everyone was like, okay, this is a great veteran addition. It should help out in the locker room, but it wasn't to the level of who DeAndre Hopkins wasn't to the level of a Debo Samuel, wasn't to the level of a number one wide receiver. And look, off the field, Odell was awesome. He and Lamar established chemistry. He had great moments on the field for the Ravens too, but it wasn't the big wide receiver one move that everybody was hoping. And now with Charlie Morton and the Orioles, it feels like if this is that, comparing it, guy who's probably going to be great for the locker room will probably have some big starts for the Orioles this season, but it's not the level of a Corbin Burns or Castillo or Cease or whoever you want to throw in that conversation. So we're on the same page, Zach. We don't hate the move. We actually like the move when you talk about, Charlie Morton, veteran presence coming in, still a solid pitcher.
He asked for.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the one box he can't check, and it's not because of his fault, is the big box at the top of the list. We had a checklist, Kevin. We went down. We said we wanted a right-handed bat in the outfield. Check. We needed another backup catcher. Check. We wanted veterans in the rotation. Check. They're checking off the boxes we want. But unfortunately for the Orioles, there is a massive box at the top, the most important box that remains unchecked. And that is the move, whether it's going to be for that number one guy, whether it was going to be for that big bat, whatever it may be, that one move in the offseason that then you look at the checklist below and you go, wow, we accomplished all the things we wanted. That checklist below of the good things we wanted. It would be nice to have another right-handed batter. It'd be nice to have another backup catcher with some more offense. It'd be nice to have some more veterans in the rotation. Those it would be nices don't look as nice when you're missing that big hole up top. If you check that box off, everything else looks really good in the offseason comparatively to what it does now.
Yeah, and look, I think Kieran makes a point here of, let's look across the rotations in the division.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the Red Sox went out there and they got Garrett Crochet. The Yankees got Max Fried on top of everybody they have. The Rays have McClanahan, and the Blue Jays are the Blue Jays, but still have some pitchers out there that can do something if they can get back together. But yeah, the Blue Jays are in on everybody. We'll just say that the Blue Jays hypothetically have 5 All-Stars in their rotation. That's what we'll say.
Kevin, little side quote to our conversation, to a little Locked On Ravens stuff. The Blue Jays have almost as maybe have a more impressive almost Blue Jays than the Ravens almost Ravens list. Like the almost Blue Jays list where they're in the final 2 is incredible. That is one of the greatest teams of all time.
Even just starting off with Ohtani is
Ohtani, Juan Soto, Corbin Burns. Like the past 2 years alone, you could.
Although San Francisco also, especially with Aaron Judge and how that went,
Larson,
Corbin, and all. So Giants have some guys too, but yeah, I mean that's the worst though, when like you're in the conversation and then you fall short.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this. The 124 starts. This is what me and Kevin were kind of talking about. If you want a reliable veteran that's going to go out there and get the job done, this is what Charlie Morton is. Like, it is a good signing outside the fact, unfortunately, that everyone's going to criticize this signing like we have for the fact that it has nothing to do with this signing. It's that the lack of big move that kind of unfortunately dampers this signing. I think we would be celebrating a move like this had they gotten another ace, had they already traded for a guy like Cesar Castillo, had they gotten Burns back. We'd be like, hell yeah, let's keep adding to the rotation. Give me another veteran. I think we would be celebrating this as a good thing. But you're missing that move that makes me be able to say this is a good addition. I'm not looking for additions. I'm looking for difference makers right now. Write that down, Kevin.
Difference maker. Yeah, we have a lot to put on t-shirts.
I know. Not looking for for additions. We're looking for difference makers.
Yeah. And I think the Orioles have enough additions. Like you said, I think they have enough of that where you now have to address the big checkbox, like you mentioned. I think you made a great comparison. But this also is going to be probably a multi-year rebuild of the staff. Because it's not going to be full probably until 2026 when Bradish comes back. And, at that point, Sagano and Morton will be off the books and you can kind of figure out who's in your rotation and who's not. Is that the year that they make the big move if they don't do it this year? But I think if they kind of kick this can down the road, we're hoping, Zach, this Orioles window can be a decade plus of them being contenders with this young core, but that's not always how it goes. And the windows can close very quickly. So every year that you say, well, we're just gonna kick this can down the road a little bit, and then we're gonna hope that next year is our year. That's a risk every year because you're wasting the primes of all these guys, or in the primes. What is this? Kevin has more of a chance find his corn dogs thing than the O's have getting an established top pitcher. We'll see as we start going on these instant reaction, the live shows as the games go on.
Oh my gosh.
I'll have to get my corn dog redemption.
Yeah. And Kevin, Ryan just posted a 2-minute video of him talking about the move. I'm just going to play it off Twitter because we can react to it because I'm curious about what he can do.
Okay.
So,
all right. The move that everyone expected. Charlie Morton, Baltimore Orioles, 1 year, $15 million. How did you not expect it? But okay, in all seriousness, let's talk about it. The Orioles needed a veteran. It's not the veteran that even I anticipated, but it's a veteran that they got. They need to check that off the list. And I know the other part, everyone's going, you got to be kidding me. Why would you sign a 41-year-old pitcher? Well, if you actually dig a little bit deeper, because that's just what I did. I was a little bit scratching my head, but I looked at the numbers, looked at what he brings, okay? 5 of the last 7 seasons, take out COVID, he's had a sub-4 ERA. That's exciting. That's enticing. That's better than a guy like Kyle Gibson, by the way, who I love and was so valuable to the Orioles. Then let's look at something else. He was a part of his last 3 teams were the Houston Astros, Tampa Bay Rays, and Atlanta Braves. 3 organizations that have had a lot of success. And 2 of those organizations have won a world championship recently, with the other one, Tampa, losing in the World Series to the Dodgers. So I like the fact that he's been around winning clubs. Now, is it the move that the Orioles need to hang their hat on? No, they need to probably do more. Not probably, they need to do a little bit more. And I do think something else is in the works. But I think you need to take a step back and look here and go, man, I know it's shocking, but the veteran that the Orioles might have needed, it might be Charlie Morton, because he's been a level of consistency. The one thing you worry about is health. How long is he going to last? But really, over his years since he's pitched a full year, he's also given you 160 plus innings every year. So you're sitting there going, holy shirts and pants. This actually sounds pretty solid. Once again, reiterating, this is not the move that is going to make or break this offseason, but this is a move that checks the boxes. A guy that's been around winning cultures, has been steady and consistent, veteran presence. Now the Orioles go out and get one more move, go trade for someone potentially, and it's become a very good offseason. We'll see. But I'm sure everyone on Twitter has their own opinion, and I'm sure everyone's going to be very relaxed. But you guys.
Oh, yeah. Ryan's, yeah. You know what? Ryan posted a veteran move thing. He's almost getting ratioed on it. So people are very relaxed. People are very relaxed. But no, I mean, look, Ryan said it. He checks boxes.
I'm glad Ryan said that they need that another move. I'm glad Ryan also, like, you know, I was worried Ryan was going to be like, I love the move. This is, you know, this
actually,
is
the comments under Ryan's post are very funny to me.
Oh my God.
Because Ryan said this is a veteran move. And Rick, shout out to you. Your comment made me laugh. Said veteran's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, this is more than a veteran move. This is he double Jackson Holiday's age? Yeah, he could. Well, Jackson just turned. Damn, he's
just under. Yeah. I mean, still though, the fact that it's that close is honestly very impressive. Well, yeah. Someone in the chat, I forget who it was or what the comment was. I'm gonna try to find it. I think it was earlier. Said that like Charlie, was he in college before Jackson was born?
Yeah, he started
started his minor league career before Jackson was born.
Yeah, but I'm glad.
Do you have metrics on him that we can look at? Because I'm curious to see, because my thing is the velocity stuff. Like, we know Grayson can throw a heater, man, but
he's not throwing heaters.
Well, no, I'm not. I know he's not throwing heaters.
So here, biggest thing is obviously breaking run value. So he has a good breaking ball control. Ground balls are the only thing that you look at this right now. And this is from 2024. Ground balls is the only thing you look at and you're going, awesome. That's what we want to see, sitting around 47%. I believe this is ground ball percentage. 2023, a little better. Breaking run value went through the roof. Got more whiffs, ground balls, a little less, but still around that. 2022, wow, ground balls went down. So the breaking run value is what's been consistent through this. Had more whiffs and Ks in 22. Let's see, 21. Oh, could we get this, Charlie Morton?
Hey, you know what? Hey, here's the agenda we're pushing this year.
This is what the agenda we're pushing.
No, we're going a step further. 2021 Charlie Morton, 2021 Trevor Rogers, Orioles winning the World Series.
God, love it.
There it is.
I love it.
That's all that needs to happen. They just have to go back 4 years. That's all they have to do. It's simple. That's it. Just go back 4 years.
Just 4 years. It's just 4 years to a 41-year-old pitcher.
Yeah. Also, it's very scary that 2021 was 4 years ago.
That's crazy. Yeah. I also like people. I can't tell if people in the chat think we're serious some of the times when we're like, just take it back 4 or 5 years and we're good.
No, these are not the same pitchers. Come on, we like to joke around here. We're both very sarcastic people, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Let's go down 2020. Not as great.
Oh, you're really wow.
2019. But here's the thing, Kevin. It's like, if we want to talk about, like, and this is what I said before, like, if you want to go through his stuff,
Yeah, overall, throughout his career, been incredibly consistent.
Can you go 2022 to 2024 to see these last 3 years?
No, I don't. I wish I could.
Well, yes, you can. Just hit 2022 and then 2023 and then 2024. Okay. All right. So now
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you
All
meant
right.
have it all combined together.
No.
And then
all right.
2024 is where things started to.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of the
Which
scary.
makes sense. I mean, the guy's 40.
Yeah. So, you know,
I mean, credit to him for staying in the league this long. Oh yeah, Kira. That's a dog.
Okay.
Oh.
I like it. No, but honestly, you know, kind of what we said this whole time. In a vacuum, this is a good veteran move. This is a very solid veteran move. What disappoints me and makes me question this is that they haven't had the move. Like Ryan said, if they go out and they get that number one starter, they get a Cesar Castillo, I'm feeling better about this offseason. I'm feeling better about the Charlie Morton, you know, signing. I'm feeling better about the Sagano signing. Although I think that's sneaky going to be a very good sign, the Sagano. Like the more I look into him, he just gives me vibes of like an Imanaga last year where he's going to have a sneaky like 2.5 ERA the entire year. Like
let's hope.
You know, and you know, damn Dan, I'm talking the move before the move. That's what we've been hoping for. Like
the move before the move, before the move, before the move,
or the move before the move. You know, I hope it's the move before the move, but I'm waiting for the move. You know, like we're waiting for the move. Oh, Joey C with some great.
We could really, you know, I saw a comment under Ryan's post that said Orioles Johan Santana. Orioles Felix Hernandez. Apparently the real King Felix, by the way. But yeah. I mean, look, it's underwhelming in the fact that the Orioles lost Corbin Burns. I mean, that's what it is. Let's put it this way. If the Orioles had signed Corbin Burns and then signed Charlie Morton to be their 5, we're sitting here celebrating. We're loving this thing. It's not that Charlie Morton is the worst pitcher in baseball, because he's not. It's that the Orioles have made 2 not big moves before they've made a big move, and that with every not big move they make, it becomes more of a question of if that big move is coming. But I do want to remind people, if there is any silver lining in how the offseason went last year for Baltimore, is that nobody was expecting the Corbin move to happen at all. It came out of absolute nowhere. So I'm waiting to evaluate the offseason until the offseason is over. Mm-hmm. And if they don't make a move, the criticism will be harsh, because that will be a failure, in my opinion. So, I mean, hopefully there's more on the horizon, because this cannot be it, especially when you're being serious about contending. Because if you make these moves and that's it, you're not serious about contending. You can try, and I appreciate that the Orioles front office is trying, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you just gotta go out of your wheelhouse, go out of your range, and even that doesn't work. So, let's go. This is what I'm talking about.
I wanted to talk about this real fast before we wrap up. So Steven, it's his metrics aren't always going to be the end all be all, and with velocity, 41 years old, he's not going to be throwing cheddar anymore. Like, that's just not going to be a thing. He's a pitcher. He's not going to blow by you. He's going to pitch to you. He's not going to, make it easy. He's going to make you get yourself out. So, this is, like we've said, is this a disappointing move solely from the fact that you're waiting for them to make a big move? Yeah. In a vacuum, this completely by itself, I love the veteran edition. I love what he brings in a winning culture, because he's been to the World Series 3 times. He's won 2. I think it's a good veteran move. Once again, Kevin, can't be the only one. I'm tired of saying it. It can't be the only one. If they don't make another move, this isn't a good move. Like, this is, unfortunately for Charlie Morton, this move, it being good or bad, is decided on what other moves they make.
Yeah. Every move is a piece of the puzzle. And by the time the offseason is over, we will understand the puzzle. But there's not a guarantee that all these pieces are going to fit. there might be some moves when the offseason is done that we're kind of like, well, why did they make this? Where does this piece fit here? It doesn't. But if they get an ace, I think a lot of those pieces start to fall into place a little easier. So I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So we'll see. Any final thoughts, Kevin, before we head out of here? Friday, 6:38 on a Friday. Can we ever just have like a little heads up that the Orioles are like, oh, Orioles closing in on deal. Oh, sides coming, No, we just always – the Orioles had the graphic ready. Like, that's what's crazy. That's how, like, just secretive this was. The Orioles had the graphic ready and no one even saw this on the radar.
I know. No, I think we've covered it all pretty well. Yeah, I mean, if we can not have these moves happen like this, although I thank you, Orioles, for not having it happen so late at night. But, man, just hopefully we'll have another one of these when we'll be celebrating a big move. That's all I'll say.
Yep, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Kevin and Zach React. We go live after every single Orioles and Ravens game. One more Ravens game tomorrow. Wow, actually, Ravens play tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow after the game to hopefully go over a nice, easy, relaxing win for the Ravens. But join us through all of baseball season. If you're here for Orioles stuff, you're new to the channel, and you like this, we go live after every single game, win or lose. So we'll talk for about 45 minutes to an hour after every game, sometimes longer if it's going really good or really bad. Sometimes and Joe, yeah, even if it's at 2 a.m., we will be here. So hit that like and subscribe button, join the channel, become a reactor, and we'll be back tomorrow for Ravens content. And man, who knows when we'll be back after that if the Orioles keep deciding to make random signings. But that's going to do it for this episode of Kevin and Zach React. And we will see you back here tomorrow.